When we got our first Loopshooter and Caper during the 2024 thank you celebration, one of the first things I thought about was how the eventual 5-star of the subclass would be handled after seeing her solid performance. Earlier this year, after Global's 5th anniversary, Narantuya made for a strong showing with a versatile kit and unique utility effects. 7 months later, I would finally get my wish in the form of Brigid. Her position is an interesting one, being stuck between the much cheaper Caper and the higher rarity Narantuya, so let's check her out.
Just so you know, this here's a knife, not a boomerang.
First, going over their general stat spread, Loopshooters have deeper HP pools than most of their snipers, being on par with spread shooters, and have a respectable amount of defense to go with it. They're in the middle of the pack for attack, hitting harder than marksman snipers, and not as hard as heavy-hitting snipers like artillerymen and besiegers. They have an attack interval of 1 second and cannot attack until the projectile they throw returns to them. This creates a situation where the range they're throwing from affects how quickly they'll be able to attack again. Furthermore, the speed of the projectile a Loopshooter throws is set and cannot be increased. That's a speed of 15 tiles per second on launch and 3.75 tiles per second on return, making it so they only benefit from attack speed boost at a certain distance. The closer the target is, the faster a Loopshooter gets their projectile back and can throw again. Brigid's talent grants 38% physical dodge after dealing damage 20 times. It's somewhat similar to Narantuya's second talent, looking at the dodge chance. It just doesn't allow for arch dodge or enemy accuracy reduction. And of course it needs a few hits to activate. I don't think this is the worst thing in the world though. While I would very much prefer something more uniquely synergistic to Brigid, a layer of survivability like physical dodge can be useful when paired with the aforementioned HP and defense the subclass has. 20 hits also isn't that high of an asking price when considering Loopshooter range, their potential attack interval, and Brigid's skills, at least in my opinion. Brigid's skill 1 at Mastery 3 causes her next attack to deal 130% of its damage and allows her projectile to bounce 3 times at most between enemies. With an offensive charge of 2 at Mastery 2 and above, this will be coming out constantly to keep enemies in check. The bounce can also effectively extend her attack range if the skill activates at the right time, giving Brigid just a little more reach to hit those that just escape her usual area. Thanks to the nature of its quick and constant activation, it also gives her talent a faster start as well. You won't be seeing the highest damage from this skill, but it does get the shine when put against groupings. Since its damage will of course be jumping between your enemies, in some situations, like when the enemies you're trying to clear don't need to take too much damage themselves, it can be preferable to being able to hit a single target particularly hard. Skill 2 at Mastery 3 increases Brigid's attack by 50% and causes Brigid's boomerang to stick to targets and inflict slow, hitting them an extra 4 times. This skill takes the opposite approach from Skill 1, focusing more on single targets versus crowd control. Having a projectile be able to stick to a target can give Brigid a head start on farther away enemies when she would otherwise have to wait for them to come into a better range. The slow, of course, has a decent utility aspect to it as well, allowing for extra time for setting up whatever one might need in various situations. Outside of its own effect, Skill 2's slow can also stack with movement speed reducers like Manticore's Skill 1 to hold enemies in place and make for some good synergy. It can take a little while to get going outside of the initial activation due to the required 25 offensive charge, but it's balanced out well with fair returns in the 25 seconds that it's active for. Regarding Masteries, I personally find that Skill 1 benefits more as you're going to be seeing that many more activations from level 1 to Mastery 2 and onwards. At optimal range, you're seeing about 5 more activations over Mastery 1 within the span of a minute. With the increase of the skill's attack boost factoring in as well, Brigid becomes much more competent at clearing crowds than she would be without Mastery 2. The improved cycling and damage that can be gained for Skill 2 is of course nice, but it's already fine on its own, and the slow effect it provides, which is the bigger draw to me, and the number of hits don't change with Mastery, so it ends up not feeling as generally impactful in my opinion. Loopshooters have yet to get their module, but if I had to guess what we'll eventually get, maybe it'll be something like a faster throw within optimal range, or a slight movement speed reduction in said range to give them more time to work at their best. I know those are fairly uninspired, so if you have ideas or hopes yourself for the eventual Loopshooter module, let me know what you're thinking. If you're still here, thanks for watching, and if you built and used Brigid yourself, let me know how you feel about her and why you decided to use her.